When I was about 8 years old, my parents completely banned me from eating potato chips. Lay's, Ruffles, Pringles, it didn't matter. None of them were able to enter our home because everybody at the time was growing concerned about potato radiation. There were numerous reports going around at the time of American farmers starting to sprout, much like a potato that has sat out for too long. The potatoes were infected, it seemed, and they were radiating deadly potato waves that lingered long after the spud was sliced and fried. It was a dangerous time for all chip lovers and potato workers everywhere, and I'd like to take a moment of silence for the talented farmers that we lost due to potato radiation sprouting. But now the year is 2022, and potatoes are all the rage. Potato-based content dominates social media. Gen Z are named as such because they can't stop zooming out for potatoes, so I'm here to cash in on the trend. My name is Chef Ian Brutal Foods, and this is the Essential Guide to Chips Volume 2. And get ready, because today I picked out a few strange options for us to check out. I got blue balls. So let's get into it. Pik-Nik brand original shoestring potatoes are a childhood favorite of mine. They weren't a chip that I frequented, but anytime I did get some, it felt like a special event because of the canned presentation. I'm pretty sure I grew up with this yellow cardboard can here, but the original version is worth a look too. It looks like you might have actually needed a can opener to get to your potato sticks. What a life that would be. These chips are reminiscent of a thin, crispy French fry, or perhaps a very thick potato chip. It's crunchy, potatoey, and lightly salty. Also, because of their narrow shape, they look a lot faster than regular potato chips. They don't taste as flavorful as a standard Lay's chip, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it feels way easier to eat too many of these because of their smaller size and lighter flavor. Plus, they come in a resealable can, which is just incredibly cool and convenient. Not a whole lot more to say about these guys. I feel like they live up to the name of shoestring potatoes. I mean, that's exactly what they taste like. I will once again be using the BMBS grading system of excellence to solidify my feelings about the chips today, and the impartial Bureau of Taste will also be offering a second opinion to counter my own. I think the Pik-Nik shoestring potatoes deserve a B-. That's a good option for snacking, sure, but it's not something I describe as a must-eat. The Taste Bureau almost agrees with me and awarded them a solid B. All right, next up is a sour cream and onion chip, which at first sounds like a tough genre of chip to really stand out with. I mean, how do you do something unique with such a recognizable flavor? It can't be that easy. But Jebediah's Gold sour cream and onion potato chips found a way. I took one look at this bag and knew immediately that I had to get it. Something about Jebediah's gaze as he stood in front of his supposed potato mine really drew me in. It's kind of hard to look away. It wasn't until I'd already tried the chips that I realized Jebediah himself comes with quite an extensive backstory. The Legend of Jebediah's Gold is a full-fledged short story that's printed on the back of the bag. I can't retell the whole thing, but I'll give you the highlights. Jebediah was a miner who migrated west in the search for gold, and one day while in the mines, he got hit in the head by a golden nugget, and he goes, "Gold, gold, I got me gold!" But it wasn't gold, it was a potato, so Jebediah gave up on his gold dream and decided to just eat some potatoes because he was hungry. Obviously, he decided to slice and fry up the taters, and his first bite was so good that it made him dance around and say, "Gold, gold, I got me gold! Me potato gold!" And the rest is history. Now you can buy Jebediah's Gold potato chips in, I don't know, hundreds of stores around the country? I'm not sure. I've literally never seen this brand of chips before. As far as the taste goes, they do seem to distinguish themselves from what I expect a sour cream and onion chip to be. The chip itself is a bit thicker and fluffier than I'd expect, almost like a Ruffle. The sour cream and onion flavor, though, is pretty typical. It doesn't have a standout zip to it or anything, but it's pretty good. I award Jebediah's Gold Sour Cream and Onion chips a B-, while the Bureau of Taste awards it a C+. It's a good chip. Not the best, but good, and I wonder if a plain version might actually be good for dipping. I don't have the answer for that right now. For now, let's check out our next chip, Ruffles Queso. Now, in the last episode, we established that the sour cream and cheddar Ruffles are a top-tier chip, but today we're looking at a Ruffle that I'd never seen before. I'd also never seen this smiley face logo before, which apparently indicates that this bag of chips is inspired by the authentic flavors of Latin America. If you couldn't already tell that from the fact that the chips are called queso, it's a helpful logo, The initial impression of these chips is not great. They stink a lot. They're very stinky chips. I'm sitting here with an open bag of them and the queso stench is overwhelming. It's queso smelly. Taste-wise, it actually reminds me of cheese Pringles, which I actually really enjoy and don't come with the baggage of stink like this chip does. Also, if I'm being honest, if I see an orange Ruffle, I want sour cream and cheddar. Even though I know that these are different chips, I can't restrain my disappointment each time I eat one and it's not sour cream and cheddar. Myself and the Taste Bureau agree on this one. They get a D+, not great. I would not buy them again. I cannot recommend them at this time. If you see them at the store, you can almost certainly find a better cheese chip sitting right next to it. No on the queso. Okay, is it time for the blue things yet? We're all sitting here waiting for the blue things, right? Nope, it's time for Herr's baby back ribs chip. This is another brand of chip that I'm not familiar with, but they seem to have some interesting flavors, so I'm hoping that they'll be pretty good so I can get excited to try more. The baby back ribs chip is obviously a take on the classic barbecue flavor, and it surprisingly does a good job of setting itself apart. Compared to a barbecue Lay's, this baby back rib chip tastes a bit woodier, a bit smokier, and it just tastes more like actual barbecue to me. Could you just replace an entire restaurant with this chip? Maybe. Shut down a Cousin's, replace it with Herr's chips, maybe people wouldn't even know the difference? I don't know, we gotta try it. I also quite like the wide, subtle wave of the chip. It's just, it's a real solid choice. I'm gonna give this one a B+. It's a great chip. The Taste Bureau took it a step further and gave them an A-, so this is definitely a chip to look out for, and I'm actually pretty excited to check out the rest of Herr's snack line. In fact, one of the upcoming chips is Herr's branded, but I won't say which. Instead, let's take a look at Chester's Puffcorn butter flavored. This snack is oven baked, and unlike popcorn, it claims to have no hulls or hard kernels. So what exactly are they? Well, I think it's kind of like a different version of a Cheeto. It's a corn puff that's trying to imitate the flavor of a popcorn. I wanted this one mostly because it said butter on the front, and how many times have you seen a butter flavored chip? It doesn't seem like it happens that often. And I am a very big butter boy. Even so, I had pretty low expectations for it. It seemed more interesting than delicious, but holy crap, was I wrong about that. These things are awesome. They're like popcorn flavored pirate's booty. They feel softer and lighter than a typical Cheeto, and the flavor actually does taste a lot like microwave butter popcorn. There's a slight crunch to them, but at the same time, they're delicate and seem to kind of melt away in your mouth. As it turns out, butter flavored popcorn corn puff is an absolute genius idea. I had a difficult time putting these down so that I could taste test the others. I really enjoyed them. One last thing to note about these chips is that the price is printed directly on the front of the bag. That's another thing that I don't feel like I see too often, so it's kind of interesting. If you are a buttered popcorn fan and you get a chance, give Chester's Puffcorn butter a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. All right, let's follow those up with these things. Lay's Layers 3 cheese flavored. I don't really understand what these chips are trying to be. The shape of them look vaguely like a Pepsi logo, and I think that's probably the most positive thing that I can say about them. Stinky, smelly chips. Triple the cheese, triple the stink. This might be the smelliest chip so far. I'm standing here, I need to hold the bag further away from me because I just keep getting whiffs. As much as I love cheese, I'm not in love with the overpowering smell of these cheesy experiences. As for the taste, they're weird. It's kind of reminiscent of like a Taco Bell nacho fry or something like that. Like, it's a little more nacho cheesy than the queso chips were. I do like the shape and the crunch, I suppose, but everything else is pretty bad. It's kind of like a bugle, but shit. The Bureau and I agree on this one. This is not a good chip. We just disagree on how bad it really is. Either way though, it's far from a recommendation. I will say that another flavor of these chips could be pretty good and I would be open to trying them, but for now, it's time to get blue. Crunchy and sweet cotton candy balls by none other than Herr's, the maker of that delicious baby back ribs chip that I was talking about. This is actually the first chip that I picked up when I decided to make this video. They called to me from across the store and I answered. There's really no more indication on the packaging as to what one should expect while eating these. They're just crunchy and sweet cotton candy balls. Let me tell you, that first bite is incredibly scary. I'm not sure if it's a human nature thing or what, but something in my very core was screaming, "Don't do it! Don't eat that weird blue thing!" But I did eat it, and I didn't like it. Then I had another, and on the second try, I actually found the taste to be quite alluring. It's not as overpowering as the neon blue color would have you believe. The puff is, as described, crunchy and sweet balls. Almost like a Trix cereal or something. Maybe even less sweet than that. I haven't had Trix in years, so I'm not sure. Much like the potato sticks and the Puffcorn, the subtle flavor here ends up making them really easy to eat a lot of without realizing it. I ate a handful or two before my mind actually registered that I even liked them. I was just reflexively eating more. So, despite all odds, Herr's crunch and sweet cotton candy balls earned high marks from both myself and the Taste Bureau. I bought these expecting them to be prime for roasting. I was gonna make fun of how bad they were and that was gonna be a feature of the video, but now I'm just like, I like them, but where do I eat them? They're good, surprisingly so, but they don't really seem like something that I would want for dessert or even for just a casual snack. The only scenario I thought of in which I would eat or serve these would be like a Halloween party because of the crazy color. But outside of that, I'm not sure. Either way, this was a surprise success. I didn't expect to recommend them, but I think if you're an adventurous chip enthusiast, or maybe just an enthusiast of sweet flavored snacks, you might have to give these a try. We've arrived at our final chip, which I selected because I was convinced that the cotton candy balls would be terrible, and I wanted to have a nice crunchy ball to balance them out. Utz Cheese Balls are another childhood memory that I hold near and dear. It's not a snack that was regularly stocked in my household, so I always saw it as a special treat. And unlike the other cheesy chips that we covered today, Utz Cheese Balls don't seem to have an aggressive stench. In fact, even when you stick your nose in the tub and get a good whiff, there's not much there. This trend continues with the taste, where the cheese flavor is actually a lot lighter than I expected. Honestly, it tastes more oily or buttery than cheesy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're also extremely crunchy, and their size and shape really lend themselves to overindulging. I actually expected them to be a lot more greasy. I have a distinct, semi-recent memory of eating some delicious greasy cheese balls from a can, but now that I'm really thinking about it, that might have been Planters brand. Anyway, these Utz Cheese Balls are still really good, though the Bureau and I disagree about how good they are. They're not gonna win in a battle against a Cheeto or anything like that, but they stand pretty tall on their own. Also, it's always seemed like the Utz girl is threatening me with a knife, and I'm kind of into it. Pretty good though, decent selection, decent spread of chips, some good surprises, and some bad surprises. I think the two takeaways for me this episode are, be cautious of cheese chips. Just because one of my favorite chips, the Cheeto, is a cheese chip, that does not mean that all cheese chips are gonna be good. In fact, most of them are horribly stinky. And lesson number 2, I gotta try more Herr's chips. Both of the Herr's offerings were surprisingly good, and like I said, a lot of their snack offerings look pretty interesting, so I'm gonna have to track more of those down. Pretty decent haul though. If you have any opinions on these chips that I've covered, specifically the blue chips, the Puffcorn chips, or Jebediah's Gold, I would love to hear from you. All right, enough about chips. You know who spends their entire day talking about chips? Little baby boy. But I'm a little baby man, so that means I'm qualified to talk about today's video sponsor, HelloFresh. Now you heard me right, despite my repeated attempts to scare them away, HelloFresh is still sponsoring me because they're just that cool. Today I decided to show off this steak meal that I had the other day, which was beyond excellent. You'll notice that this recipe called for carrots as a side, but I'm a big fan of eating something green alongside my steak dinner, since that's how the steak itself lived, so we swapped the carrots out for beans. That's why they call me Little Baby Bean Boy back home in The meals are really flexible like that. Once you get used to following the step-by-step cooking instructions using the convenient pre-portioned ingredients, it's really easy to find ways to change up your favorite recipes. Because you're not just preparing dinner, you're also learning some fun cooking skills with a Z. Whether you use it to cut down on time spent at the grocery store, you're trying to save money and eat healthier by avoiding fast food, or maybe just because you like the idea of a rotating menu of ingredients getting shipped to your door every week, HelloFresh will quickly become a favorite part of your day because the food is so tasty, it'll make you say, that food is so tasty. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code brutalmoose16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. That's HelloFresh.com, code brutalmoose16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. That's a steal of a deal, let me tell you. Okay, bye.